Hey everybody, Marcos Villegas here with Abel Sanchez, the trainer of Gennady Golovkin, who's coming up this weekend on pay-per-view against Daniel Jacobs, defending his middleweight titles of the world. First off, Abel, good to see you. It's a blizzard here. You come from the snows of Big Bear to like a blizzard here.
No, actually in Big Bear was great. In Big Bear right now is like 65 degrees.
Oh, well, yeah, not here. It's like 10 degrees over here. It's
crazy.
Terrible.
Yeah.
This fight, a lot of talk about Jacobs being the most dangerous opponent Gennady's faced, the most complete opponent Gennady's faced. Jacob himself says he's the most complete fighter Gennady's faced. Do you think that's the case, that Gennady's never seen a guy that has everything all in one before in his career?
Well, first of all, I think that we need to acknowledge the fact that another one of my kids is fighting Friday night, the night before, who trained with Gennady. Alex Saucedo will be fighting Friday night, so everybody come out and see him. Yeah, I think Danny Jacobs is probably the most intelligent fighter, the best boxing IQ, as I like to say it, of the fighters that we fought. He had a great amateur background. He's on a roll, 12 knockouts in a row or something like that. Very confident. He's beaten the hardest foe that could ever be beaten in cancer. So he's a guy that is going to come very motivated to the fight, very sure of himself on what he wants to do. But on the 18th, when he steps to the ropes and does the first minute, I think he'll find out why it's been 23 in a row and Gennady is the kind of fighter that he is.
I've read some of the interviews that you've done in the build-up to the fight, and you feel it's going to be a fight in which Gennady stops Daniel. What makes you feel so confident about that? Like, what do you see there that makes you think that it's not going to go all 12?
Well, first of all, everybody has an opinion, and I have a biased one, obviously, because he's my fighter. Daniel's a heck of a talent, but I believe that Golovkin is an exceptional talent. And on the 18th, the first 3 or 4 rounds are going to be difficult, I think, for both guys. There may be some scary moments in those rounds because Daniel is a big puncher. But I think by the time the 7th and 8th round come around, he will have worn him down and we'll be able to stop him.
You know, I was looking at the Lemieux fight, and I was thinking to myself, man, a great knockout by Lemieux, but the power, I'm like, is Lemieux a stronger puncher than Jacobs? And I'm like, I think he is. He's more explosive than Jacobs, but Jacobs is a big puncher. And then it got me thinking, with Lemieux, Gennady boxed. So with Jacobs, are we going to see kind of a Gennady that's patient, boxing, using that jab a lot?
You know, we practice all facets of it. We practice boxing on the outside, boxing on the inside. We practice everything that may come up so that when the fight is there, it's not nothing new. But the knockout of Curtis Stevens, I think, is a result of Gennady just making him what he ended up being, which is a shell of what he was before he fought Golovkin. It's easier to knock out a guy that is not mobile, that is just standing there and is not firing back. Lemieux is a big puncher. Lemieux is a bigger puncher than Danny Jacobs, or a stronger puncher than Danny Jacobs, heavy-handed. But Daniel's sharp. Daniel is, in the Quillen fight, showed you that he can hurt you with one shot, and then he's a good finisher. So we're not taking anything for granted. We're not assuming that he's not a big puncher. That's in the questions that I've answered. His height and his size is not a problem for me. What is the problem is, or the issue that we've been working towards trying to eliminate in a fight, is his power, because he does have a great right hand and he's very athletic. So all those things add up to a difficult night for both guys.
Looking at the future, because there's fights not already lined up, but talked about for Gennady. There's a fight in June they're talking about in Kazakhstan. We're hoping the Canelo fight happens. In terms of those fights, the Billy Joe Saunders fight, do you think that fight is a fight that will happen, and that it's a bigger possibility happening than the Canelo fight?
Well, first of all, Jacobs is a big hurdle to overcome first, and Canelo's got a big hurdle to overcome. On
Abel, look who showed up!
Oh my God, hey, gee. And Canelo's got a big hurdle to overcome also. If both guys are successful, I'm sure that Tom Loeffler and Herman Brothers, the managers, are in the process of trying to set up the next one. Everything going well on the 18th. There is a possibility, as Tom said at our previous press conference, of fighting in June sometime in Kazakhstan. I don't know if it's going to be Billy Joe Saunders, but if it is Billy Joe Saunders, that would give Gennady the 4th belt if he's successful. So that has been his goal for the longest time, doing that and winning. I hope the Canelo fight is done in September, but there's a lot of ways to turn down a fight, and they seem to be finding one after another.
What have you heard so far in terms of that? Because their side's saying they presented a contract, and they're saying that your guys' side hasn't said anything in terms of the contract.
Well, first of all, there's a lot of ways to turn down a fight. You don't have to turn it down verbally. Verbally, you can turn it down with your actions and the things that you do. There was a comment, there was an article in one of the sites that said, Eric was saying that if we fought in June, it put the September fight in jeopardy because there wasn't enough time to promote it. Heck, this fight has been promoted for the last 2 years. Everybody talks to you. You're asking me about it now. So it's being promoted, it's being sold. I think that the fight is the fight that's best for boxing. I think it's the best fight that can be made in boxing right now. But we're not going to hold Gennady back on the chance that there is a fight in September. Gennady's got a fight. Last year we had 2 fights. Unfortunately, we couldn't do the December fight, but this year we hope to fight him 4 times. That's what he wants. And if we fight in June and we fight in September and then in December again, that would be the 4 fights. But we're not going to be holding him back just because there's a possibility of fighting Canelo. Canelo knows, and Eric knows what it's going to take for Gennady to fight him in September, and they just need to quit making excuses by making pretenses, like I said about the June thing.
Is it getting to a point where it's frustrating for yourself, for Gennady always being asked about Canelo, when the Canelo's fight's going to happen? Because I've noticed a little bit, it's starting to kind of irk Gennady a little bit. Like, hey, don't ask me about this Canelo guy. He's not serious.
It's not frustrating for me. It is frustrating for Gennady because he hates people that just talk. If you want to fight, let's fight. But obviously, this is a business, and Gennady has put himself in a position by not only his streak, but the method of getting to that streak of knockouts to be dealt with fairly. Or we can go on and fight other people. We don't need Canelo. Canelo can go on about his business and be the fake middleweight that he wants to be. But we're going to continue doing what we're doing with Gennady, and if it happens, it happens. If it don't, that's okay.
I hope it happens.
Well, you know what? I think the fans hope it happens. I don't think Canelo hopes it happens because he knows he gets knocked out. But and Oscar knows that too. So if the fans keep pushing it and keep keep demanding a reason why not from them, then if it doesn't happen, it won't be their fault. But if we don't push it, then if it doesn't happen, then we can blame ourselves.
Hope it doesn't get to that point. Obviously, Abel, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's great seeing you. March 18th, this man right here will be in the corner of Gennady Golovkin, looking to defend his middleweight titles on pay-per-view against Daniel Jacobs.